my biological father, very conservative, and I hate to say it, but I have to be real, I have to be vulnerable, and I have to be transparent, and there's no other way to say it. Is racist. Is a very racist man. I remember growing up, him talking and saying that if I ever brought a black man home, that he would ask me not to come home again. He lived up to that. So a couple of months ago, I thought things started to get better. And the reason that I say this is anytime that anybody hears me saying my dad, for the most part, I'm more than likely talking about my stepfather. That's who, because a dad to me is someone who is a dad who's there for you, who supports you, who, you can go to and go to for advice, who's a comfort, who's a supporter. And I always had a very special relationship with my stepfather, who's a wonderful black man. So, at first it was, my dad was kind of, my biological was kind of weird about that. But then, it seemed after a few years that, he really likes my dad. Yeah. The reason that I say all this is because I started to kind of feel better. I've been in a relationship with my boyfriend, who is a wonderful black man as well, for going on 5 years now. I never brought him home. Yeah. Because I had a really shitty relationship with my biological dad for a multitude of reasons, which we can talk about more later. But so anyway, this year I kind of got the courage, and Tone and I are getting very serious. We hope to be engaged this year, and a bunch of other shit. So I'm like, okay, now's the time for me to just see what's going to happen, because this is preparing for my future, right? Because like if something goes left with this, then let's say I bring a child into this world, I'm not subjecting my child to this bullshit. So we went. I flew back.
Both first house.
Yes, both of us went. Sean and I both went. The first house that we went to was my biological dad's mother. And everything went good. Like we were all, we were chilling, my auntie and uncle, we're all talking, we're having a good time. Everything feels good. Everybody felt very accepting. So in that moment, I felt comfortable enough to say, okay, after we go here, we'll go back to my biological, because we had a tradition that after we go to my grandmother's in the morning, we would go to his house to like watch Christmas movies, eat junk food, all that stuff before going to our other grandparents for Christmas dinner and like shit like that.
Yeah.
So, sorry. So I was very on edge about that, but we went. So we get back to my biologicals, it's just us, and just so I can set the scene so you understand how quickly we had to leave and what it transpired to. I was supposed to be baking some sugar cookies. I was going to decorate them with my younger siblings after I left there, because we were going to go to my grandparents and that was going to be our thing. Yeah. I didn't even finish mixing the cookies and get them on the tray before he told me to leave and never come back. He started saying a bunch of things that were hurtful and offensive, kind of joking about how, you're lucky I'm not as racist as I was 10 years ago, because I would have cut your ears off. Like that's something that's funny. And then, immediately had to try to debunk the whole Black Lives Matter thing. And it's I'm all lives matter kind of guy. And it was very uncomfortable. He kept reiterating how, he basically wanted to hurt him. So finally I got sick of hearing it. And this is very Republican man. He's very like those diehard like people you see, is very much how he was always the one to always want to talk about bombing Indian people and, just like Muslim people and how, just a bunch of racist shit constantly. And I never felt that way. And it's hard growing up because, you want to be accepted by your own parent, but it got really bad. And so finally I was like, hey, kind of chill out, but he still kept making these jokes. And this is what solidified it for me. And I knew that I wasn't crazy because for a long time, he made it out to everybody that I was crazy because of my drug addiction and so on. And it was easy to make it out to be like, I was the liar and not him. He's very manipulative. But my little brother was in there who never agrees with me at all. And even he was like, this is fucked up. Like, what is going on? So finally, I had a very hard time trying to take that as a teaching moment. I don't regret that, but I think the problem was that like I made Tone take the car keys and go outside. I was like, I don't want to, you've been subjected to enough. Go outside. Let me handle this and just wait for me. So long story short, all I could get out was, do you know how hurtful this is? Like, I have to go. I can't stay here with him. That's very disrespectful. That's very hurtful. If this is how you believe, what are you going to be preaching to my future children? What are you saying about my younger sisters who are two beautiful, beautiful little Black girls?
Yeah.
And I couldn't shake that. And so he told me that if I left, not to come back. And
the second time, like, because he said the first time if you bring one, and then he actually.
But that was when I was younger. I think I was probably like in 6th grade. And since, my other family members were like, just kind of give it a chance, see how he goes. He seems to be getting better and kind of made me feel a little more comfortable. But then it was also just kind of a solidifying moment for me. It was really, I think I was hurtful, but it was hurtful, but all in all, it worked out for the best because, like I said, I wanted to take that as a teaching moment, but I couldn't get the words out. All I could say was, do you know how hurtful this is? That's very hurtful. He's not going to say nothing to you, but I will. Like, and maybe it's not even bothering him as much as it's bothering me, but that's just not going to fly with me. And the fact that you felt okay enough to be like, hey, okay, if you feel that way, don't come back, then I was never really wrong about your racist tendencies and you haven't changed. You've just manipulated everybody and put on a front because it didn't even blow up. I wasn't even disrespectful. I was just like, listen, we got to go. Kind of like one of those things where we're going to have to talk about this later, but this isn't acceptable because I wanted to take it as a teaching moment. But I want to say, unfortunately, it didn't get to that, but no, fortunately, it didn't get to that. So some people would consider it a loss. I consider it a gain. I don't, if you feel comfortable, and mind you, this is the first time he's meeting this man.
Yeah.
So if you feel comfortable enough to be like that the first time that you're meeting somebody, you think I'm gonna let you babysit my future kids?
Oh my. Oh, I would, no, I'd be horrified.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry that was a really long kind of thing, but that's what it was. So since I've separated myself from him, a lot of his side of the family, I don't really, I still talk to some of them, like my cousin Maddie. I just talked to my aunt yesterday, but they're very open-minded, very chill people. Not to say that a lot of the people on that side of the family aren't. But it's hard after, your biological father disowned you to want to go back to events and go and have to be there with him. So it's just almost kind of like having to separate yourself from all of it. So I can't risk it.
I completely understand.
So, but yeah, that's really, I guess you could say, again, the biggest loss that I've experienced due to different political beliefs. We always argued about, little things, whether and it's not little, it's a big thing, but we always argued about, whether or not gay people should be married. And I think that's kind of when I started to realize that I wasn't Republican, was around when I was 14, 15 years old. Him just talking about how like they all needed to die and like all this other crazy shit. Yeah, this is what I was subjected to growing up.
And I'm like, and you're younger, so then 14, that's like 2008, right? That's what I'm like.
That's how they get into your head though when you're younger. I feel like that's when so many people in the Bible Belt it's fear mongering, because if you don't believe this way, you're going to
You're an
hell.
outsider.
They take politics in with it to twist it into their beliefs, and to the point to where you're so scared that you submit because you don't even want to fathom having to go out like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you think that you're disappointing God or like a bunch of other shit. It's just another way to make you feel guilty. And I didn't agree. That's just my experience from where I was from that I don't agree with. I feel like they like to merge the two.
Yeah. Hey, don't forget to follow me on social media: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, whatever you want,